Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Well, we have a new election, and with that, a lot of new ideas about tax planning. What are taxes going to look like going forward? What do we need to do to position ourselves so that we disinherit the government and not your kids? It means being tax smart with our business, retirement, and income planning. Because if your business, income, and retirement planning is not tax smart, it's probably tax dumb. Let's fix that today. Call me.
Financial solutions you can rely on. Dean Owen, CPAs.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Donald Trump is holding off on tariffs during his first day back in office and placing a big bet that his executive actions can cut energy prices and tame inflation. Executive orders coming Monday are meant to ease the regulatory burdens on oil and natural gas production. He also intends to declare a national energy emergency in hopes of jump-starting more electricity production to build out technologies such as artificial intelligence that rely on data centers using massive amounts of energy. The price of Bitcoin surging to over $109,000 just hours ahead of Mr. Trump's second inauguration, as a pumped-up cryptocurrency industry expects early action by him soon after he takes office. Wall Street shuttered today in observance of Martin Luther King Day. Markets reopened Tuesday morning. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Bitter cold this evening, a low temperature dipping down to 20. Now tomorrow, frigid, a high of just 36 to go with a legitimate chance for some snow in the late afternoon and evening. For Wednesday, we remain very cold with a high of 36, a blend of some sunshine and clouds. Clear the rest of the week, a little warmer for the weekend, highs in the 50s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
The Point. The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All righty, good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk Media Network. Good to have you with us on this Monday. You have made the peaceful transfer to Sports Talk from whatever it is you've been doing up to this point. So we're glad to have you with us. What a day in America with the inauguration and Martin Luther King Day. I hope you've enjoyed the day, whatever you had on your mind and you wanted to do today. I hope it went well. We're glad that you're with us now for another busy week of Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. We have got a lot of ground to cover with you, and our phone lines will be open immediately at 888-898-2525. That's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. You can also drop us a text message as well. Our text line number is 803-900-4847. And if you're watching our streams on Facebook or YouTube, you can send us a message there as well. You can also find us on the Chief Sports app, where they do a fantastic job. You can always hear us there. So there's always a way to find us here on Sports Talk if you don't get us over one of our great radio stations. Phil Kornblut, Josh Cohen here in Columbia, Chris Bergen from the Berge Palace over in Sardis. Quite the day, huh?
Yes, it has been. Anytime a new president is inaugurated, it's a big day in our country. Just coincides with Dr. King's Day as well. So, yeah, huge day around the United States. And for you NBA fans, if you want to look at it from a sort of sports perspective, you had basketball all day. As a matter of fact, I think we had a women's doubleheader. I was flipping through the channels a few minutes ago. Texas and Maryland are playing right now. So, big sports day, not to mention the national championship game coming up here in an hour and a half.
Indeed, indeed. We're going to talk all about that here tonight on the program, 888-898-2525. I was at the South Carolina women's game on Sunday, and they played extremely well. They played extremely well, as they do most every time out. I mean, they're just annihilating their opponents right now. We'll hear some from Dawn Staley coming up in a little bit. Also, Brad Brownell, Clemson coach, as he met with the media via conference call today at the ACC. And the Tigers picked up a very impressive overtime win at Pitt. That was one of those games you looked at and said, okay, this is going to be a pretty good test for them. How will they do? And they won, and Chase Hunter hit, of course, that big three-point shot to kind of ice that one for them after they had that late turnover in regulation that cost them a chance to win. Then Tigers shot the three ball extremely well. So they're playing some really good basketball, and they're looking at a week ahead when they get Syracuse at home and then a trip to Virginia Tech. So two teams they should be able to handle and continue to add to their resume, which their record looks good. They're still not in the AP Top 25. They got votes enough to total 30 points, but not enough to break into the AP Top 25, which is led again by Auburn, the unanimous number one. But, Chris, I think Clemson is a top 25. I mean, they were in there until they lost to Memphis, I think. And Memphis is a good club. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, the voters aren't putting them back in the top 25.
I don't quite get it either, because to me they're one of, if not the second or third best team in the ACC. I don't know where you'd classify Louisville. You want to talk about a guy who's doing a tremendous job, Pat Kelsey, who cut his teeth down here in our state. Boy, he has taken it to another level at Louisville. But outside of them, I don't know that there's anybody else. Duke is clearing away the best team in the ACC, and then I think you've got Clemson and Louisville right there behind them. So, yeah, I think some of the national narrative, I don't know if it's fair, unfair, whatever, I think some of that playing in the ACC is not giving them the bump they normally want. And, again, unfortunately for them, as was the case 2 years ago with South Carolina's struggles, that loss to the Gamecocks is going to be one that may haunt them a little bit later on down the road.
Yeah, they need
so
the
they're going to have
Gamecocks
to do it.
I was going to say Clemson needs the Gamecocks to pick it up, as the Gamecocks themselves need to pick it up. Just another dreadful performance for them overall. I know they got the injury situation going on. You can't overlook the fact that they're down two starters, but right now that was I shouldn't say another dreadful, because they had a couple of close losses, but they go on the road here and lose to Oklahoma. Oklahoma pulled away late in this one and beat the Gamecocks. I guess really final score not indicative as to how this was a competitive game for much of it. 82-62. Oklahoma really pulled away late. But once again, the turnover bug was huge for the Gamecocks with 16 turnovers and just not a good performance, a 41% shooting performance, compared to Oklahoma, which ended up shooting 56%, including 59% in the second half when they pulled away and turned a relatively competitive game into a one-sided game. And I don't know that Lamont Paris, with his roster right now, Chris, has any answers to what ails this team.
What's really sad, Phil, is if they don't get Jamari Thomas back and Miles Studi back soon. I mean, look at what's in front of them. Florida tomorrow night, or Wednesday night, rather. Mm-hmm. I don't see them beating Florida, home or away. Then they've got Mississippi State at home on Saturday. That's going to be another tough game. And then they go to a Georgia team that's playing really well for a team much like Clemson that's not ranked inside the top 25. I mean, this streak right now sitting at 0-5 could easily go to 0-8, 0-9, 0-10 if they don't get healthy and figure some of this stuff out. But you can't continue to turn the basketball over at the rate they are right now to be anywhere close to competitive in the SEC. I mean, they've only had, of their 5 losses, I think you would say only 2 of them have been competitive games that they legitimately had a shot to win. The Auburn game and the Vanderbilt game they should not have won because of how poorly they took care of the basketball, but still they still had a opportunity at the end to win. But if they don't get healthy in the backcourt, I don't know how this gets turned around anytime soon.
Yep, and the free throw shooting, again, was a problem the other day as well. So all these things are kind of coming home to roost with the Gamecocks. And we saw some of this in November, December, some of these little areas that you would say areas of concern, like the free throw shooting. They were 11 of 21, Saturday. Not that, if they'd have gone 21 of 21, that made a difference, not when you lose by 20. They did knock down 9 threes, and that was and Ugasuk continues to play well for them. He had 15 points, and he had 4 of those 3-pointers. But, again, just not enough firepower, and they don't play great defense either, so for the most part. So,
and that's got to drive Lamont Paris nuts, because that's the one non-negotiable in his program is you're going to play defense or you're not going to play. He can't really take that stance with his team right now because of the injuries they're dealing with. But I know he goes home at night and pulls his hair out at how poorly they play on the defensive end. That being said, look what they did to Auburn. I mean, it is in there. It's in their DNA. It's in that makeup of that team. They can get out and play some defense. They just at times don't appear to have any interest in doing so.
Well, 2 home games this week. You mentioned Florida Wednesday and then Mississippi State. But then again, they've already played Mississippi State and got hammered. So, but that was down there. This will be here. Maybe they can squeeze out a win or 2 this week and get off the SEC schneid. Only they and Arkansas remain. Can you believe it? Arkansas. No SEC win to this point for the Razorbacks, and the same thing for the Gamecocks. They're the last 2 without a win in SEC play this season. Now back to the women for a moment. As I mentioned, I was at their game yesterday afternoon, and boy, what I tell you,
that was impressive.
Well, yeah, and not only that, boy, their crowd was awesome. Maybe for some reason it just seemed like it was louder in there yesterday afternoon than maybe some of the other recent home games that I've been able to get to, and you could just see, even though Oklahoma was ranked number 13, Texas was ranked number 5, South Carolina obliterated both of them. And I mean, if that's what number 13 and number 5 look like when they play a team like South Carolina, I mean, the Gamecocks are just so much more talented. These teams have some bigs, okay, but their bigs are not athletic. They're just big women who can grab rebounds but can't make a layup. While the South Carolina women, they still have their tall women in there as well, but they're just more athletic. They can make shots. They can make creative layups. And the thing they did well yesterday was knock down the 3. They had 10 threes on the game, which tied their season high in SEC play. 11 is their overall high. But they had 10 threes, so they shot the 3-ball well. And their bench, of course, their top 3 scorers all came off the bench. They dominated off the bench. They dominated in the paint. So they played at a very high level. They're still number 2 in the AP women's poll. They did get a first-place vote this time. Somebody saw the light and gave them a first-place vote. And they've closed within 30 points of UCLA for the number 1 spot. Of course, we're going to learn a lot Thursday night with LSU coming to town, undefeated LSU, and of course they're ranked, I think, number 5 again this week. Are they? Is it 5? They're in the top 5. They were in the top 5. So this will be a great test, and this might be the amazing thing is how not that they're playing well, but how dominant they are even without a key player like Ashlyn Watkins. They haven't really missed a beat. In fact, her absence has kind of opened the door for others to get more minutes and step up and be contributors, which is what we saw yesterday.
And Joyce Edwards and Sanaya Fagan, they're all playing extremely well. Edwards leading them in scoring again, I think 7th time this year. But the one thing about the LSU game on Thursday, Oklahoma, you could tell they were starstruck walking into Colonial Life Arena. It's one thing to talk about going to play South Carolina at home. It's an entirely different animal altogether to actually see it. And Oklahoma probably saw the schedule and said, oh, we get to face the number 1, number 2 team in the country on their home floor. That's a great opportunity for us. And then they get punched in the face, and they've got no answer. LSU will come in, and they're used to having to deal with Gamecock fans, a Gamecock crowd, having the ESPN game day in town. It probably won't matter, but I don't think they'll get beat by 40. I mean, that was the largest margin of victory for USC women's basketball in program history. So, as you pointed out, if that legitimately is the 13th ranked team in the country, good grief. And if the NCAA tournament, I was thinking about this earlier today, Phil, even though UCLA has beaten South Carolina, they did so on their home floor. Would you seed UCLA number 1 or South Carolina number 1 because of what the Gamecocks are doing in terms of whom they have to play?
Good
UCLA is not getting a stretch like this in the Big Ten, like the Gamecocks are in the SEC.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I mean, when it comes down to that, if nothing's changed, because there's a lot of basketball to be played. They still got to go through the Big Ten tournament for UCLA. The Gamecocks have to go through the SEC tournament. There's a lot of opportunity there to take a loss. But if they run, if UCLA hasn't lost and they've beaten South Carolina, I don't know how you can rank them below South Carolina or seed them below South Carolina.
So I would be interested to see if the net ranking would put the Gamecocks actually ahead of UCLA because of their schedule.
Yeah, I think that South Carolina, I know last week they were number 1 in the women's net ranking. I would imagine they would still be the same coming off another win over a ranked team. We can double check that, but I'm pretty sure that they'd be hanging in there at number 1. Okay, so we got all that, and we're down to the Final Four in the NFL playoffs. And, of course, tonight's the national championship game. Zach Willis will join us to break it down at 7:30. They'll be kicking off a little bit after that. Ohio State, the favorites over Notre Dame. I am going to have to roll with the favorite here. I think it's Ohio State's year. It looks like they've just kind of put it all together. Obviously well coached, but the talent, I think you look at Notre Dame and Al Golden and what they like to do defensively. They're probably going to try and bring a lot of heat, a lot of pressure on Will Howard, and that's going to put that Notre Dame defense in a lot of man coverage situations against those outstanding receivers. How are they going to handle those receivers from Ohio State? So I think Ohio State wins this one. Notre Dame will no doubt try to control the clock and eat clock with their running game. Riley Leonard will try to run it a good bit, control the game tempo and that. But I think it's going to be too much Ohio State tonight. Probably going to win something along the lines of, I would go with a 35 to, I'd make them about a 10-point favorite. 35-25 win tonight down in Atlanta. What you got?
Well, and I think Notre Dame's injuries are going to catch up with them. They've had multiple injuries throughout the playoffs, and I just don't know that they've got enough talent on the field to keep up with what I think everybody believed at the beginning of the year was the universally most talented team in the country in Ohio State. The bigger surprise to me, Phil, I did not realize this until today. This is the first time in a decade that Ohio State has played for a national championship. It's hard to believe you have to go back to 2014, the last time they played for a national title. So all the criticism that Ryan Day got, I'm guessing the goodwill will come back his way if they win tonight, despite losing to Michigan earlier in the year. But, I think this is an Ohio State team, and especially considering that Jeremiah Smith, Texas basically took him away and still lost to Ohio State. They found other ways to win. I'm like you. I think Ohio State's playing the best football in the country. And as much as I'd like to see Notre Dame win, I just don't see how that's possible. I don't see a pathway for them to win, especially with the injuries they're dealing with.
All right, our phone number is 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number. We'll take some phone calls now. Lines are opened up, so give us a call. Love to hear from you. Coming off the weekend and looking ahead to what we've got tonight and throughout the week. Phone number 888-898-2525. You can also shoot us a text message on our text line 803-900-4847. We're back after this break on Sports Talk.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
I love playing sports, especially for my school. And that's because school sports are special. It's where it's safe to fail. It's where we're taught resilience, where our fear becomes confidence. It's where we learn to get back up after every fall. School sports are where 7.8 million students go from I can't to I can.
This message presented by the SCHSL and the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association.
Happy New Year. 2025 is here, and that means it's time to get your finances back on track. With Founders Federal Credit Union, you can manage your debt like a pro this year. Consolidate any high-interest debt with a personal loan from Founders. Debt consolidation offers several advantages like simplified payments, lower interest rates, fixed interest rates, and extended payment terms. It may even improve your credit score or even help you avoid default. So simplify and possibly reduce your payments by consolidating your debt. At Founders, we have personal loans to fit your needs, whether you need a little or you need a lot. Plus, our loan officers will work with you on your payment terms and help you find a solution that fits your budget. So stop by one of our locations or visit foundersfcu.com/personal loans to apply for a personal loan today. Relax. You're with Founders. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
These are the days when you wish your bed was already made. It's just another manic Monday. Wish it was Sunday. That's my fun day. I don't have to run day. It's just another manic Monday.
We are back with you here on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Josh Cohen. Our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Yeah, great football games yesterday. Really feel for the tight end for the Ravens. Terrific player.
Isaiah Likely?
Well, no, he's a good player. I'm talking about the tight end who
Mark Andrews.
Mark
yes,
Andrews, yeah.
Yep.
He's a great player. He's a great player.
He is,
Sometimes
no
great
doubt.
players just can't make a play in tough conditions, but that ball hit him right where you wanted it to be.
Shouldn't have come down to that, Phil. One of my great sports pet peeves. You know my first. College basketball coaches that won't foul up 3 late. Number 2 on the list is coaches who chase points and go for 2 when they don't have to. John Harbaugh, when they scored to go down 21-19 in the third, for some reason, he decided he wanted to tie the game there, go for 2. They don't get it. And so if the game plays out the way it did the rest of the way, after Likely's touchdown, they're sitting there down a point. Had he kicked the extra point, he could have kicked it again and sent them to overtime. But these coaches it's mind-blowing to me how highly paid, allegedly smart coaches don't understand the easy part of game management. Don't go for 2 until you have to.
Not disagreeing with you. You chase that point, you chase it all day long. And it's just like, hey, as a Packer fan, Matt LaFleur passes up 3 points all the time to try to get that first down. And more often than not, they come up short, and you miss those 3 points later on in the game. So
right.
Take the points. Okay, to the phones we go. And first up tonight, we welcome Hank in Columbia into Sports Talk. Welcome in, Hank. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Corn.
Good.
Corn, I think we were saying the thing about the net. South Carolina is number 1 in the net. I think UCLA is like 6 in the net. Now, it doesn't really matter who gets the overall number 1 seed because basically the top 4 seeds, what you're trying to do is get a 1 seed to start off with. If they continue to win, but they've been talking about that a lot in the spaces, the WNBA, the NCAA women's spaces, because of the fact that since UCLA played South Carolina, they have not played a ranked team again, and they've had a number of games where they've had some 7-point wins, but they have not played a ranked team, and they were saying South Carolina's not only beaten 7 ranked teams, but they've beaten 3 teams in the top 10 or top 12, 3 or 4 teams in the top 10 or 12, and their average victory average is something like 34 points.
You're right. Here's the actual net numbers. I'm looking at it right now. UCLA is number 4 in the net this week, and they are against quad 1 teams. UCLA is 4-0, and South Carolina's 8-1. USC is number 1 in the net. The Gamecocks are 8-1 against quad 1 teams, obviously undefeated the rest of the way. 3-0 against quad 2. So 8-1. That's by far, well, I won't say by far, but it is the most of any of your top-ranked teams, those 8 wins against quad 1. So, yeah, they're benefiting from a very strong schedule, and they're winning those games. UCLA remains undefeated at 17-0. UConn is second in the net, and they've got 2 losses, and Texas is third in the net, and they've got 3 losses. And they obviously must have another metric in there that's putting them ahead of UCLA. I guess maybe strength of schedule probably has them ahead of
I think
UCLA.
South Carolina,
yeah,
South Carolina right now has the strongest strength of schedule because they're out of conference. In their out of conference schedule, they played. I think it was either 6 or 7 teams time, and a number of them, I think 4 or 5 of them were ranked in the top 15 or 16.
Mm-hmm.
So people thought about this gauntlet they were supposed to go through. The South Carolina girls, if you see when they get down to taking care of their business, their defense is something that's stifling. And
well, they have been smothering. They have been the last 2 games I saw in person, the Texas game, the Oklahoma game. They held Texas to 4 of 26 in the first quarter, and yesterday they held Oklahoma to 4 of 20 in the first quarter. Now they only led Texas by 9 at the end of a quarter, but they led Oklahoma by 18. That game was just flat out over.
Yeah, it was over.
Yeah, it was just flat out over, which, that's good. I was able to turn my attention to other things. But, seldom is there a competitive game. We'll see if LSU is going to be a competitive game. If they blow out LSU, then I will be convinced that they're going to win the national championship again. Now, I mean, they'll be happy with a 1-point win, don't get me wrong. But if they handle LSU the way they've handled these other ragdoll teams, look out. All right, thank you, Hank. We'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Bitter cold this evening, a low temperature dipping down to 20. Now tomorrow, frigid, a high of just 36 to go with a legitimate chance for some snow in the late afternoon and evening. For Wednesday, we remain very cold with a high of 36, a blend of some sunshine and clouds. Clear the rest of the week, a little warmer for the weekend. Highs in the 50s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Tradition and quality. That's what you get with H&J Cattle Company, where local third-generation farmers ensure you receive the finest beef in South Carolina. Our registered Hereford and Wagyu cattle are raised with sustainable practices, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. Taste the difference with the highest quality beef guaranteed. Order now at hnjcattle.co or on Instagram and Facebook at hnjcattle.co. Again, hnjcattle.co, where ethics meets quality.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Donald Trump, who overcame impeachments, criminal indictments, and a pair of assassination attempts to win another term in the White House, was sworn in Monday as the 47th U.S. president, taking charge as Republicans claim unified control of Washington and set out to reshape the country's institutions. Former President Biden commuted the sentence of indigenous activist Leonard Peltier, who was convicted in the 1975 killings of 2 FBI agents and is serving life in prison. Peltier was denied parole as recently as July and wasn't eligible for parole again until 2026. He was serving life in prison for the deaths of the agents during a standoff on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. More details at srnnews.com.
Step into a brighter future with Broker Solar. Transform your home, your business, your nonprofit into a beacon of efficiency and savings. With Broker Solar, you're not just installing solar panels, you're setting the foundation for long-term financial savings, taking control over these power companies that, well, let's face it, they have a monopoly. You can't choose your power company, but you can control the cost of your power. Ken and his expert team will help you to navigate through any complexities of solar energy. They'll tailor a system that's perfectly fit for your needs and for your budget. Get a rooftop setup or somewhere else on your land, or just start with solar to integrate powerful battery backups so when the storms do come, the power goes out in your block, it'll stay on at your home. It's not for everyone, but if you're even curious, don't you owe it to yourself to reach out and call Broker Solar for a free consultation? Listen, if you trust the point, if you trust me, I'm telling you, you can trust Broker Solar. Explore your solar potential at brokersolar.com. Start generating power on your terms. Broker Solar, empowering you while shining above the rest.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, John here from Redbird Windows and Doors. You know what really bothers me about my industry? It's gimmicks instead of honesty. With Redbird, it's pretty simple. We do absolutely great work, we're local, and our projects are fairly priced. If you're ready for some new windows and doors or need our help, you'll get high-quality materials, service, and my personal guarantee. Online, find us at redbirdwindows.com or call me directly at 727-0561. That's 727-0561. Redbird Windows and Doors.
We don't get bitter cold too often, but when we do, we need to make sure we're being smart about it. My friends at Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning want to remind you about some tips for freezing temps and your plumbing. It's pretty simple. Water expands when it freezes. If there's sitting water in your pipes, they can burst, and we don't want that. So here are some tips to avoid these issues when we have a serious freeze. Hey, leave both the hot and the cold water dripping with a small, steady stream of water. Open up all the cabinet doors under your faucets, especially on the exterior walls. This lets the heat from the house get to the pipes under the sink. That keeps them warmer. Do this for every faucet on an exterior wall, even above the garage. And hey, disconnect your hoses from the outside spigots too. If you have any questions, call Josh and the gang at Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. And if you have any problems, well, they'll be quick to respond. Online, it's franklinplumbing.sc.com or give them a call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hope you don't need them, but good to have them if you do. That's Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Sports talk every weeknight from 6 to 8, feeling just right. Phil, Chris, and Josh, they're in the zone. Across South Carolina, they're well known. Sports talk, bringing the heat. Talking sports, can't be beat. Tune in, don't you pout. It's a show you can't live without.
We are back. Sports Talk. What? Welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Phil Kornblutz, Josh Cohen in Columbia, and over in the beautiful burg of Sardis, it is Chris Bergen at the Bergie Palace. Phone number 888-898-2525. Want to remind you of a couple of things. Tonight is your last chance to place an entry on college football for 6+ months. Imagine that. Underdog is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It is the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. You can head over to underdogfantasy.com right now, and you can place an entry on Riley Leonard's combined passing and rushing yards, 220.5. What do you think? 220.5. Combined passing and rushing. That's a lot of yards against that Ohio State defense.
That is a lot of yards against it. Yeah, I would agree. I think I'd go lower.
Jeremiah Smith's number of catches.
If it goes higher, I think they win, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If he's having that kind of game, look out. Jeremiah Smith's number of catches, 5.5. Jeremiah Love's rushing yards, 44.5. And a whole lot more. You can also play fantasy with the NFL playoffs, what's left of them. Goodbye, Lions. Nice to see you. Enjoy going fishing, Lions. college hoops, and the NBA. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com and register with this promo code, SportsTalkBonus, to claim your free pick and your first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Remember, use that promo code SportsTalkBonus, all one word. Must be 18 or over. 19 or over in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 or over in Colorado for some games. 21 or over in Massachusetts and Arizona. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. It's void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Okay. We'll have more on the game from Zach coming up at the bottom of the second hour. Zach Willis, 1st and 10. And then Zach will be back with us tomorrow night to break it down. And then we'll have one final Chalk Talk on Wednesday night. No Major Downer, no SC Wild this week. Major Downer is out in is he in Las Vegas? Yeah, he's in Las Vegas for a gun convention, I guess. What's it called? SHOT? The SHOT convention?
It's called SHOT Show.
SHOT Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big stuff, huh?
Yeah, I guess it's the biggest in the country or world universe.
How do you know about this?
Just heard about it over the years.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Few comments coming off our streams. Let me read all of I got to come up with a nickname for him. Let me read all of the comments coming in from Grumpy Ray. Grumpy Ray, who anything about the Gamecocks he just despises. So he says Gamecocks are horrible.
Sometimes.
Say again?
I was going to say sometimes Grumpy Ray is you can't read his stuff on air, so I wanted to make sure that you're censoring this stuff as we move forward.
Oh, of course, yeah. Gamecocks are horrible. Next, talk about something else. Spend more time talking about a crap team. They suck. End of story. At least you got Dawn Staley plugged in. He also says you have pro football, and I can think of more sports to watch, especially going to a woke women's basketball game. And what else? People can find this information in a box score in a newspaper. Not interesting at all. Glad y'all can spend so much time talking about this crap.
I think last week he said that he loved the show and he loved all of the stuff we do.
Yeah. Yeah, Ray must be off his meds or something. He's in a crappy mood. Eddie says he watched the game on TV. Loud as heck is all I can say. South Carolina has 2 complete teams, 10 starting anywhere else. Yeah, they're deep and they're loaded. Let's see. Adam,
he's pretty close to being right there. Yep.
Adam asks, is it coaching issues with Paris or players? Why do we keep playing Jacoby and Davis? They turn the ball over a lot. Well,
what are the other options?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, they can score. You know, Davis can hit the three, and Jacoby can hit the three some too. They're just not ball handlers, and they don't have anybody they can put the ball in their hands and say, you know, go make me a play and protect the basketball. I mean, this is the one thing you want to avoid if you're Lamont Paris, the roller coaster program. You know, they were down his first year, up his second year. Now, if they continue, this will be down in year 3. You just don't want to have that roller coaster type of program that they're headed towards with the way things are going this year. So I still think he's a good coach, and
agreed.
But the pieces, well, I mean, you know, of course they weren't playing that great before the 2 guys got hurt either. I'm not saying that they would have helped maybe because you keep your lineup together and you're deeper, but they weren't setting the world on fire before Studi. And
I mean, they won 7 in a row before SEC play began.
Well,
they started to figure it out.
Forget that part of the year. Everything matters about SEC play. True? I mean, they look great against Clemson. They look great against Clemson. Right. They look great against Clemson. But once they hit SEC play, it's like a switch was turned the wrong way with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the injuries hit, and it's left them really short, especially in the backcourt. But again, I say this from the get-go. This team struggled in their exhibition game. Remember we talked about it after exhibition game, all the free throws they missed? Just kind of shrugged it off. It's exhibition game. Well, then they go and lose to North Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And think about how many free throws they missed. The free throw shooting from the beginning has been an issue.
They're third from the bottom, if I'm not mistaken, in the SEC in free throw shooting at 69% as a team. You've got to be at least 72, 73%, if not better, in a league as talented as the SEC. You can't give away points. You just can't.
Let's see. Russell asks, did Josh write the – I can't – oh, this what? What's that? What's he asking? The sorties? What is that word? Unless he misspelled it. Did Josh write the – I can't make that word out. You know, why are you going silent on me all of a sudden?
So sure.
Huh? What is it?
So sure. Josh did write it if we have no idea what it is.
What's he talking about?
I have no clue. Did Josh write the sorts? SOORTS. Did I misspell something? I don't think I did.
I can't make that out. All right, back to the phones we go. I appreciate all the comments, except from one person. 888-898-2525 is the number. And we're going to go ahead next to Ron in Greenville. Hello, Ron. Welcome in. How are you? Hello, Ron. Are you there, sir? Ron. Did we lose Ron? Let's go on. Okay. Let's go to Andy in Columbia next with us. Hello, Andy. Welcome to Sports Talk.
I might be lost, but I'm here.
Good to have you.
Okay, number one. I've said this since he came aboard last year. Studi wouldn't make a difference if he was playing or not. He has been a disappointment in what we thought he was going to be when he transferred from Vanderbilt. I think Ubachek, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly,
you're not
is more than outplaying what he has been doing on the court this year. And he's the loss other than having another body to bring in, maybe to give a kid a break. And the problem with this team is they really don't have a real point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the kid from Norfolk State that we brought in, he's a scorer. He's not a distributor. And that's the problem with this team right now. We don't have a distributor. And unless they can bring somebody out of the portal next year, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, they really missed the play of Cooper.
Yeah.
I mean,
they had two distributors last year, right?
Let's see. Well, yeah, you had Wright, and you had, if you're talking about Jacoby Wright, and you're talking about Cooper as well, right?
Well, I don't know if
and Michi Johnson. Yeah, you had Michi as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's the problem with this team, that they don't have a distributor of the ball. And I don't think that Colin Murray Boyles is playing up to what he was playing last year. I think that the SEC right now is, they know what to expect from him. And he just doesn't seem to be as aggressive for some reason. And it might be what you were talking about last week, Phil. His aggression might be going in different places right now.
I don't know. I mean, Chloe Kitt seems to be playing just fine for the women. Doesn't seem to be impacting her. So, I got to say this about CMB. I mean, people are a lot more insightful and knowledgeable than I am are saying he's a first-round NBA draft pick. I just don't see it. I mean, he just disappears too much in too many games. And I go back to the Auburn SEC tournament game last year, non-factor. The Oregon game in the NCAA tournament, non-factor. These last few games, for the most part, he did have a good outing. I think it was Auburn. But you just can't, if you're a first-round draft pick and you are the star of your team, you just can't go invisible for games on end. And he's had too many of those kind of games. I know he's got all kind of talent, all right? He's got all kind of talent, and he's a big guy that can shoot outside, and he's got incredible inside moves to get to the basket. But he's got to pick up the consistency, I think. I think he's just too up and down.
I think he needs one more year before he goes into the draft myself. But, well, you still get money, and, I don't know how much money that the basketball team has to give him, or the Garnet Trust, or whatever you want to call them. But, I don't think that he plays as well with Pringle as he did with Mac. I think Mac helped his game a lot more.
Well, think about why.
Pringle's
think about why. Mac was an outside
Mac's
guy.
More of a polished player than Pringle, too.
But Mac stood 15, 20, 25 feet outside, and you had to respect him, and your defense had to go chase him. And what does that do? That opens up the middle. Pringle's an inside guy. So when they're both on the court, Chris, and thank you, Andy, we appreciate it. I mean,
Okay, y'all have a good evening.
You too. When they're both on the
Thanks,
floor,
Andy.
they're both inside guys. The Gamecocks don't have a true, except for Ugasuk, right now, they don't really have a true go-to three-point shooter. And so teams are collapsing all around those guys inside and making it more difficult, I would guess.
No, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. And unfortunately, too, those are two of the guys who get fouled more than anybody else on the team. And they're shooting 68% and 66% from the line collectively. I mean, Nick Pringle's missed 31 free throws this year, and Colin Murray-Boyles has missed 31 free throws. I mean, you just can't have that from guys who go 100 times, 150 times, almost 200 times before a season's over, because they're going to get fouled. When Colin shoots as well from the field as he does from the free throw line, what are you going to do when he gets it inside? Well, hack a shack and make him earn them at this free throw line. And you're right, those two guys, and I think B.J. Mack's a really, really good comparison. They don't have anybody like that on this year's team that can step out as a big man and shoot it from the outside and be a pretty viable threat from three-point range as he was last year. And you're right, that opened up the aspects for Colin Murray-Boyles inside and the whole 9 yards. And they just don't have that this year. And then when you take and I will say this to Andy's point about Jamari Thomas, he does lead the team in assists, and he's sitting just below that 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio on a team that turns it over like it's going out of style. So he's not a terrible point guard, but they don't have a true. I don't think the level of point guard play that they got last year on the team that went to the NCAA tournament. And normally teams with good backcourts and good guard play end up in the NCAA tournament.
I will say CMB's averaging nearly a double-double, about 16 points and a little over 9 rebounds a game. So he's generally putting up good numbers. But for those who think he's a three-point shooter, I mean, he's only shooting 27% from three this year and is only a 20% three-point shooter for his career.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you would think he would be a guy you would want standing out there and shooting threes. He's not as good as B.J. Mack was at doing that.
No.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
George Bryant here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and wow, Tsunami Robbie, there is now an amazing technology that you can use when you train receiving large game without having to endure pain. Please explain.
George, that is the magic combination. I have 3 simple words to define that entire concept. Stimulation, not annihilation. Regardless of your training goals, there is a level of stimulation that is optimal for your desired gains. Tsunami Bar's flexible bar technology meets these demands because the user determines the level of stimulation with the amount of speed and force they impart into the bar or training device.
Hey, this is Phil Kornblut. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait. Order today.
I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her.
Inaugurations are always cool, aren't they? Put aside the politics. Watching the peaceful transformation of power. Awesome job today by everybody involved in putting that deal together. Had to move everything inside. It was so cold.
Except for the audio guy.
Yeah, they did have one little blunder, but Carrie Underwood picked it up like a pro. Like I knew she would. I knew it. If it stayed silent for X amount of time, I knew that she would just pick it up on her own and knock it out of the ballpark. And anyway, great television, great viewing all day long, and off we go into the Trump era, number 2, and we'll see how he does. See if he can back up everything that he says he's going to do.
Can you imagine how difficult it was for Secret Service to be able to figure out on the fly? I'm sure they already had the backup plan in mind, knowing what the weather forecast was going to be in D.C. today. But to move everything inside, it probably made it a little bit easier on them, because it cuts down the opportunities for a problem to occur. But considering some of the things that's happened with Secret Service over the last 6 months, I'm sure they weren't overly thrilled with the schedule changing going into the inauguration.
Yeah, I do think having it inside made it a lot easier for them to
I would think so
set
too.
up protection and all that. One more thing, talking about Amari Boyles. He's fouled out 4 times this year. That's another thing. He's been in some foul difficulty. He only played 22 minutes the other day. I did have 10 rebounds, 11 points, but got into foul trouble, and that keeps him off the court. And if he's not on the court or available, that's a big problem for the Gamecocks. Okay, and they're going to see a big man from Florida. How big is he? 7? Was he 7?
If you're talking about the 7'7" kid, he's redshirting.
No, there's another. No, the other guy. They have another. Do they have a main guy in the middle who's a big fella for Florida? I have to look it up.
Go back and look at their roster, yeah.
I have to look it up. In the meantime, let's go back to the phones. 888-898-2525 is our number. Oh, is that where we're going? Okay, ladies and gentlemen. We interrupt what's been a great program to this point to really take a step down as we head down to Charleston. We welcome in the bad boy by the bay, the pontiff of the port city, the ninja of the night, the queen of the cowboy crybabies, and the man who got exactly 1 vote when he ran for the mayor of Charleston, and that was from his mama. It's not Jim Rome, because he's living out in California and collecting his money from CBS Radio. Nope. We're stuck here in South Carolina with J. Rome. How about that? Little gong action for you too, Jerome. We roll out the red carpet for royalty. Your sports talk royalty.
You know what? Your little tete-a-tete with those 2 politicians. What was that, last week? Yeah, you're really good, aren't you? You just sold out the whole lock, stock, and caboodle, didn't you? That was very funny listening to them two guys. Hey, y'all should go on the road. That's a good comedy act y'all got going.
Okay.
You know that?
I'm glad you enjoyed
yeah.
it. I'm glad you
Well,
enjoyed
what do you think about that, Governor? Well, what do you think about that, Attorney General? Oh, that was so funny. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, what?
Hey.
I
know you voted for Hodges when Hodges was running for governor.
Who? Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, just like I voted for Trump when he ran for president. Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, Hodges is more of your style. Hodges is more of your side. I mean, that's more what you lean towards.
Yeah. But hey, at least he's a nice guy, unlike the guy they got in the White House now, who is not a nice guy. But hey, that's just my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, the Celtics they only lead by 34 today. How long is Mike Dunleavy Jr. How long is he gonna keep that general manager job with the Warriors? Because they really stink. Okay, they got injured players and they stink, and that's not a good combination for keeping a job. So
yeah,
I'm just wondering how long is Mike Dunleavy going to keep that job?
That looks like a retooling situation. And you mentioned the Celtics. Yeah, they needed a good performance. They're only 8-8 in their last 16 games. They're up 100-63. So somebody was going to pay the price to open up this West Coast swing. They play the Lakers on Thursday, so it's a big week in Celtic land. And they haven't been playing good basketball. They haven't been shooting the ball well. And so this is a good outing for them at a place where they typically struggle there in San Fran. So,
well, they lost the championship to them a couple of years ago, so I guess this is a little bit of payback. But you know what? Who cares about South Carolina men's basketball, Phil? We have the great Dawn Staley at women's basketball. So, hey, life is beautiful, man. What are we complaining about?
You know what? You gotta give her roses, man. You gotta give the program its credit, and if you're gonna be great in something, then be all the way great. And they are great in women's basketball. You can't. I mean, there's things that Coach Staley has done that's irritated us here and others who've called in and talked about it. But putting together a basketball program and building it and directing it and growing it, she's as good as there ever has been. And she's getting paid like it now, as much as anybody has ever been paid. We're going to hear from her coming up in the next half hour. And thank you, Jerome.
This hour from townhall.com, I'm Keith Peters reporting. Donald J. Trump has officially returned to the White House as the 47th President of the United States. President Trump says he'll protect the nation and end the recent practice of weaponizing the government.
Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end.
World leaders and corporate CEOs who once balked at Trump as president attended the ceremony Monday in the Capitol Rotunda. Amid the positive energy for Trump, even some Democrats appeared to be open to working with him. Meanwhile, former President Biden bid farewell today at Joint Base Andrews.
A thank you to former President Joe Biden after he and the former First Lady gave their farewells at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland.
It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president.
And there was even a mention of the new president.
We have a lot more to do. We heard the inaugural address today. We got a lot more to do.
And Biden's last message to Americans, we're leaving office, but we're not leaving the fight.
We've always done our best as Americans. We never, never, never give up. Never.
Donna Warder, Washington.
Windy and dry conditions have returned to Southern California, raising the risk of new wildfires sparking as firefighters continue to battle two major blazes in the Los Angeles area that started in similar weather nearly 2 weeks ago. Forecasters say gusts could peak at 70 miles an hour along the coast and 100 miles an hour in the mountains. More at townhall.com.
Now, heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
I'm going to let you in on a little wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile have convinced you need unlimited data. Fact is, most people don't. Pure Talk only charges $25 a month for unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data plus hotspot. Stop overpaying for wireless. Dial pound 250 and say spend less, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk.
Hey.
Former President Biden issued a handful of pardons in his final full day in office, granting clemency to individuals who he said have made significant contributions to improving their communities. More from correspondent Bernie Bennett reporting.
Among those being pardoned on January 20th were civil rights activist Marcus Garvey, who was granted clemency posthumously. Garvey was convicted of mail fraud in the 1920s, and his sentence was commuted in 1927 by President Calvin Coolidge. The president granted clemency to the life sentence of Native American rights activist Leonard Peltier, who was convicted of killing 2 FBI agents on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation and of escaping from federal prison. Bernie Bennett reporting.
Senators are back at the Capitol for a late evening session after President Trump's inauguration. They're pushing ahead on Trump's cabinet picks, with voting possible to confirm Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Bitter cold this evening, a low temperature dipping down to 20. Now tomorrow, frigid, a high of just 36 to go with a legitimate chance for some snow in the late afternoon and evening. For Wednesday, we remain very cold with a high of 36, a blend of some sunshine and clouds. Clear the rest of the week, a little warmer for the weekend, highs in the 50s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
The Point. The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back with you on Sports Talk on this Monday night. Great to have you with us. Phil Kornbluth along with Chris Bergen and Josh Cohen. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Let me catch you up on a couple of things, and we'll take some more phone calls. And we're going to hear from Dawn Staley and some recruiting, Zach Willis and Brad Brownell. So we got a lot to get to here over the next little bit. Yeah, this story came out yesterday, and it was like one of those stories you had to go, is this for real? I mean, is this something made by AI, or did they actually report this story, and is it genuine and factual? But apparently it's all of that. The ACC commissioner, this was an ESPN story, said that the league will have conversations among coaches and ADs about whether to make changes to its conference championship game format. The conversation, the result of the expanded 12-team playoff, and ensuring conference champions and the teams that play in conference championship games remain important. This past season, SMU entered the ACC championship game of the regular season champion, but lost to Clemson and was not a lock for the playoff, though it did make the playoff. So Phillips said the ACC could consider giving its regular season champion a bye and have the teams that finish second or third in the league standings play in the ACC championship game. Think about that now. So your regular season champion won't play. The second and third place teams would play for the championship. He also said another possibility is having the top 4 teams play on the final weekend of the regular season.
Uh-oh.
No, you can't do that, idiot.
Nope.
First place versus fourth place and second place versus third place, with the winners playing the following weekend in the ACC. Do you realize what an uproar that would cause? I mean, think
so no
about
Carolina,
the
Clemson,
rivalry
no Florida
games
State,
that could
Florida.
be impacted. Yeah, I mean, come on. You can't even begin to go there, my man. You can't even begin. I mean, that is just ridiculous. That's not even outside the box thinking. That's thinking under the influence of something. I'll just say, just not logical. For a very smart man, apparently, he's not being logical. First of all, how do you crown a champion between the second and third place teams and call them champions? Just in terms of what the definition of the word champion is.
You don't. And quite frankly, Phil, I'll take another side of this. I think it's a brilliant move on the ACC's part because no one respects that league in football. Let's face it. Outside of Clemson and the occasional, 2 years ago with Florida State, I mean, no one around the country respects the ACC at all. And he's right. Had SMU won the ACC championship, they would have gotten one team in the playoffs this past year. So his thinking is, and you'd have to take away that conference championship title. You'd have to change it over to the We Manipulated the System Bowl or the CFP Automatic Bid Bowl. Because that way, let's assume for a moment it's Clemson again. They go through and they win 10, 11 games next year, and they're sitting there. They're probably going. So how can the ACC title game help them? So let them just sit out and let 2 other teams go play for the Automatic Bid Bowl and let them get in.
Don't you think the committee is going to look at that and go, wait a minute, no.
Now they may.
You're not going to manipulate
absolutely.
the system. They'll put in a rule that says your regular season champion has to play in your championship game. I mean, they'll adjust the rules. They're not going to let you backdoor them. That just ain't going to happen. They're not going to let you backdoor them.
No, I agree. But as of right now, I think it's brilliant on the ACC's part.
I think it smacks of desperation.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I think it's
But
stupid.
if you're the ACC, you've got to be desperate.
Well,
because, again, had SMU won and beaten Clemson in the ACC title game, they would have gotten one team in the playoffs.
Well, be that as it may.
This way they might get 2 in.
Get better in football then. All right.
Okay.
And
don't go that route. I'm fine with that too.
But they're not going to allow this to happen. I will be flabbergasted, shocked, everything else if the football selection committee awarded a league, whether it's the ACC or the Big 12 or whoever, an additional spot because they backdoored them on how they did their playoff format, and changed and tried to call it a championship game when it's not a championship game. So
no,
and I don't think the fans would stand for it. I don't think the fans would stand for it.
I would agree. I mean, when Clemson fans want to say we won the regular season title, but we're not playing in the title game because we want to preserve our opportunity to get into the playoffs, I don't think so. I'm not sure Dabo Swinney and his team would want that. Mm-hmm. But there's a bigger discussion to have here about the viability of conference title games moving forward. With so much emphasis now on the college football playoff, will conferences even want to have a title game? I mean, is the amount of money you make off a title game worth the possibility of losing a team that could get you considerably more money in the playoffs? Or would we just get to a point where the regular season champion is going to get the auto bid and then we'll let the chips fall where they may with the at-large?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that making any progress whatsoever. Our poll question of the week, presented by Larry Lucas Insurance. Call Larry for all your insurance questions and needs at 803-799-1998. Who is the 2024 College Football Coach of the Year? in South Carolina. This is the College Football Coach of the Year. Our poll last week, Lenore Sellers was voted the Player of the Year by those who took the time out to vote. You can do the same thing as well. Shane Beamer, Chennis Berry, Jericho Kochery, who did a great job at Limestone, and Dabo Sweeney. Right now, Shane Beamer leads the voting with 76%. Chennis Berry and Dabo Sweeney each have 12%. I mean, it really is think about it, all four did really good things. Kochery stepped into a situation where the head coach left at not an opportune time, and he held things together and almost got them into the D2 playoffs. And then we saw what Chennis Berry did in his first year at South Carolina State, got them to the Celebration Bowl, won the MEAC. And you know what Beamer and Sweeney did? I mean, they both Sweeney, how much credit do you give him for getting to the playoffs again? And then how much credit do you give Beamer for going well beyond what the expectations were and winning 9 games? So there's a lot of positives to pass around there for all four of these coaches.
I agree. I think this is really interesting. If you take a moment and look at the job that, say, Chennis Berry did, you can make a really strong case for him being Coach of the Year. The job he did in his first season at South Carolina State, similar turnaround. They went from 5-6 to 8-2. So a similar turnaround that what Shane Beamer did at South Carolina this year. And yes, you have to give Dabo Sweeney some credit, regardless of what you think about the discussion we just had about how bad ACC football is. They still got into the playoffs. Now, he didn't beat South Carolina, lost to all the SEC teams. I'm sure that's going to hang around him, like an albatross around his neck. But still, that being said, he did win a league crown, and he made it to the playoff. It's a big deal for the job he did this season.
I have a text message from Roger up in Woodruff. With Notre Dame playing for a national championship tonight as one who covered his recruitment, how close was Tony Rice to going to Clemson? I'd always been told it came down to Notre Dame, Clemson, and North Carolina. Just wanted your take. Yeah, I remember that quite well. I spent a lot of time chasing that story down back in the 80s. And Tony Rice, of course, was such a great player at Woodruff. And I talked to Coach Willie Varner, many, many times during that recruiting period. Tony was not easy to reach himself, kind of made himself unavailable. Stories about Danny Ford going to Woodruff and meeting with him at like a Hardee's or something, doing what he could. I mean, Clemson went after him really, really hard, but it was Lou Holtz on the other end of the phone, and it was Lou Holtz up at Notre Dame who was recruiting him. And when they showed him that this is how you would fit into our offense, and, of course, back then, remember, that was Prop 48 time. Tony Rice didn't play right away at Notre Dame. They, as I recall, I think he had to sit out his first year over the Prop 48 stuff. And then, of course, he took over, and the rest is history, and went on to have a great career there. But, yeah, Clemson was in the hunt for him for a long, long time. And it was quite upsetting to Clemson people because they thought that he would come in and be the perfect fit for their offense because they ran the triple option as well.
Right.
And that's what his strength was, running the football, and especially in that option scheme. So, yeah, Clemson was in it. I don't remember North Carolina being – I really remember Clemson and Notre Dame being the primary two for him. So, at the end of the day, Notre Dame won out.
Players in our state all time, where does he rank in terms of the guys you've gotten to see and followed recruiting with over the years?
Oh, easily top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Easily top 10.
Top 5?
Boy, that's hard to narrow it down off the top of my head.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just double-checking here. Yeah, Tony Rice was unable to play in his freshman year due to the NCAA's Prop 48 rules. Yeah. That was he failed to meet the SAT score requirement of 700, so he was forced to sit out the 1986 season. That was a terrible, terrible rule. I mean, every one of those players should sue, since the NCAA is being sued for everything else. They should all go back and sue the NCAA for that, because it labeled these kids, and that, unfortunately for them, that label sticks with you the rest of your life. If people think about it. But anyway, he overcame that little obstacle, of course, and went on to greatness there. and didn't do much in the NFL if he spent much time in the NFL. But I think he's done a good job. I think he's either working in the business world or working at Notre Dame. I'd have to look and see what he's doing now, but he's done well for himself since his Notre Dame days. Okay, we got to run to the break, and we'll come back with more, and I'm going to get to those Don Staley comments and more of your phone calls here in just a moment. I want to remind you that winter weather is here, but it'll be gone soon, and you'll be thinking about getting down to the beach and enjoying warmer temperatures and a spring or summer vacation. Make sure you give Jimmy Smith a phone call. Let him handle all of your arrangements to get you in a great spot at a great price. His number is 843-237-4246. Online at pauliesvacationrentals.com.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller Brown. Did you know it's possible to avoid probate court after you die, regardless of what you own? Why put your loved ones through a long, stressful public process when there are better options for your family? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
If you're looking to grow your business, Sports Talk is here to help. I'm Matt Smith, and in addition to reporting for Sports Talk, I'm in charge of helping business owners make the most of our statewide platforms. Whether you're a small business owner or part of a large company operating here in the Palmetto State, we'd love to hear about your business. Sports Talk has a track record of delivering results to our partners, and it's probably more affordable than you think. Our network of affiliates shows us the flexibility to work with budgets of all sizes, and our statewide coverage means that whether you're in Greenville, Orangeburg, Chesterfield, Charleston, Woodruff, or somewhere in between, your future customers are listening to Sports Talk. Every business has a story, and we want to hear yours. It's our mission to serve this state, and that means finding success together. Please email us at sportstalkmedianetwork@gmail.com or contact us through our website, sportstalksc.com.
Hey, we were talking about Florida a moment ago. Alex Condon is the big guy I was talking about, 6'11", yes. 230 from Australia. Takes up a lot of space, scores inside, 11 points, 8 rebounds a game. They got a guard, Walter Clayton, who's lighting it up, 18 points per game. So this will be a tough challenge. But this is a game where if South Carolina can play like they did, say, against Auburn at home or even Vanderbilt on the road, I see no reason why they can't play with Florida. And even shorthanded, being at home should help them overcome that a little bit. So I see if the Gamecocks can get out there and play much better, cut down the turnovers and the fouling, and hit a few threes and maybe upset the Gators. No such issues with the women as they destroyed Oklahoma. Did you say it was their largest margin of victory ever?
Over a ranked team.
Over a ranked team, okay. Yeah. They had this game won after a quarter. Here is a little bit from Dawn Staley, the USC women's coach, taking questions after the game yesterday about that performance against the Sooners.
Dawn, it seemed like they kind of maybe dared y'all to stick with them in transition and maybe didn't realize that that's where you guys are best as well. Did you kind of see that from the bench, or is it just how the game evolved?
I mean, the thing is, when you are really good at something, you're probably not as sharp with defending it in this case in transition. I mean, we wanted to play fast. We did. We wanted to get up and down the floor. We wanted control the paint. We wanted to take rhythm threes. We wanted to just have a fluid offense. And then defensively, we knew they were going to score some in transition. We knew they were going to hit some threes. But over the 40-minute period, we wanted to just make it really hard for them to get in any rhythm, any just fluid movements. And then we wanted to take care of Beers, and that's a hard feat to do it all. I thought she was probably the hardest out that we faced. Just, it's hard when she gets into your body. There's really nothing you can do. And she took advantage of us, and she got into a rhythm and started hitting shots from the outside. But I thought we took care pretty much everyone else to allow us to just build the lead and hold on to it.
Malaysia was in here a second ago just talking about kind of her overall performance. Now she's finding her love for defense. I guess, one, was that the best you've seen her play this year today? And two, what does that do for you when she's on the level she was today?
It's been a steady climb, since probably our Mississippi State game. It's been a climb for Lay, and it doesn't mean that she's not gonna go back to a different place. That's part of the process. It's not gonna happen. It hasn't happened in a couple of games, and that's growth. Like for me, I'm proud of her because, I ask her to be a little bit more disciplined while giving her the freedom to do whatever she needs to do. But there are times in which I want to play her at the end of games, but she and I both know that's a trust thing. Like you're asking me to play you in front of some seasoned vets that have been in the program a long time. Now we do give up that her ability to impact the game on both sides of the ball. We give up that, we give up, and it's a gamble. But I like to know certain things at the end of basketball games, and she's helping me. Especially with this particular game because, I know she wanted to get off after the wow moment. She wanted to continue to, best that wow moment, but she didn't. She just played solid defense. She took really good shots. Probably the long threes are probably, she just wanted the dagger. And so you got to let her have that space. As long as she's playing defense, I'm really fine with it. You could take bad shots, just defend.
Thank you. Coach, I wonder if you could just talk about the momentum you guys have been building in spite of the fact of losing such a key player to injury and how good that feels, especially going into what on paper looks like could be one of the more challenging weeks with LSU and then going to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. I think sometimes when you lose a player, you gain in other areas. Of course, we lose Ashlyn's ability to shot block and Ashlyn's ability to defend, and her ability to, rebound and score, and her ability to score, and her presence, her competitiveness, her outward, getting our players to go to another level. Yes, we miss that. But then when you take that away, then you look at, Joyce feels a lot more comfortable. For some, she's probably getting 5 of those minutes of Ashlyn's. And you see her is paying big dividends. Chloe is a little more relaxed. And Fagan, to me, has just upped her game. And isn't anything besides comfort, knowing that I could play probably 25 minutes instead of 17. But I just feel like we didn't present like we don't have enough to continue to compete at a really high level. We as a coaching staff, we just never harp on it. Yes, we feel sorry for Ash and her not being with us. Do we have the utmost confidence in the people that are left? Absolutely.
Hey, just a quick question about your new contract. You've said you have no interest in coaching professional, but you have that clause in there that says you can leave without paying South Carolina anything. Why was it important for you to have that clause as part of this new contract?
I don't know. I might up and leave. No, I mean, it's you got to have something. It's a give and take, like if it was important for me to have a guaranteed contract. It's important, but in having a guaranteed contract, you got to give them something. I will never leave here to go take another college job. It's nothing. Like, I have the best of the best here. And I really don't have I don't have a passion for the next level. I don't. I would have been gone, like, seriously. Like, so to have it in there, it was just something fancy to have you ask me that question.
All right, she's toying with us.
Mm-hmm.
She's toying. Like that, though. She said she didn't have the passion. If she didn't have the passion for the next level, if so, she'd have been gone. That was kind of interesting.
That is.
I mean,
well, like I said earlier when we were discussing her contract, I think that would be the only other mountain she has yet to climb. Right? As I figured she would say, she has no interest in leaving South Carolina for another collegiate job, and it really doesn't sound like she's got a whole lot of interest outside of just having some fun with us in the media about going on to the pros. I think she's going to retire at USC and be very happy in doing so.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Bruce in Missouri. Next call before the bottom of the hour. Bruce, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
Thank you for making me in tonight. It was Josh that made the entry songs that the guy was talking about.
Yes,
I'm an artist, and so is.
You're an artist. You're an artist as well.
Yes, I graduated from Louisiana Tech. I made an animated logo for Louisiana Public Broadcasting System.
I did not know. I learn new things about you every time you talk.
And I was hired straight out of college to be over the photography staff at Clemson University.
Mm-hmm.
He's a genius. You better keep him if you can.
Who's
he
that?
needs to go out on his own and do what he's got to do.
Well, his salary demands are sort of making it a little bit tough.
I know. Well, I'm telling you.
Unless you want to we can open up a GoFundMe page to keep Josh.
No,
I don't have to pay anything if I leave, so.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right. He's got an easy out of his contract. Yeah.
He's got a clause he can leave for the Detroit Lions. That's the only pro job
But
he
I
can
recognized, I knew it was Josh when y'all started playing that. I knew it was Josh was doing what he was doing.
Mm.
Keep it up, Josh. You got a future ahead of you.
Thank you.
Keep
Appreciate
it. Up,
All right. Thank you very much. Hey, maybe you can just move out to Missouri and hang out with Bruce, and y'all can make beautiful music together out there, huh?
I'll pass. Thank you. Maybe Detroit. I'll go up there, though.
Well, it is the Music City, Motown, right? Huh? Okay, we'll be back. Recruiting, Zach Willis coming up.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Bitter cold this evening, a low temperature dipping down to 20. Now tomorrow, frigid, a high of just 36 to go with a legitimate chance for some snow in the late afternoon and evening. For Wednesday, we remain very cold with a high of 36, a blend of some sunshine and clouds. Clear the rest of the week, a little warmer for the weekend. Highs in the 50s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the Senate has confirmed Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, giving President Trump the first member of his cabinet. The vote was unanimous. Senators went back to work Monday night in the Capitol after Trump's inauguration. Rubio is among the least controversial of Trump's nominees. Action on other Trump cabinet picks, including former combat veteran and Fox News host Pete Hegseth for Defense Secretary, is expected later in the week. Vivek Ramaswamy is no longer part of the Government Efficiency Commission that President Trump has championed. Officials confirmed that hours after Trump took office Monday, and that leaves billionaire Elon Musk to run the cost-cutting operation alone. Markets closed today for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. This is SRN News.
I was thinking about the things that matter to me when it comes to calling the plumber. First, most of us call the plumber out of a need, often a crisis. So you want reliability. Then, we're in a vulnerable place already, so you want someone you can trust, someone who will be fair in their pricing and handle things professionally. These are some of the reasons I feel comfortable recommending Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, they've been out to my home. They've been out to my brother's home, too. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning did such a great job. And you know, maybe this might not matter as much to some people, but they're locally owned. A lot of these plumbing companies you've heard of used to be local, and now they're owned by big national or even international conglomerates. Working with a locally owned company matters. It keeps your pricing down, and the money stays local here in the community. Josh and his team at Franklin makes customer service their top priority. I trust them. You can too, especially during these vulnerable times. Online, it's franklinplumbing.sc.com or call them 799-2222. That's 799-2222.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
Customer service. We all talk about how it's gone down the tubes in recent years, but not everywhere. Not with the Hickory Hill Insurance Agency. These are the folks I want you to feel comfy reaching out to for your Medicare and health insurance needs. Tim Hanberry and Medicare Blueprint have joined Hickory Hill Insurance. The result? Even better customer service with a bigger team to help you by utilizing the very best technology in the industry. And you know what else? Just plain old caring about people and treating them like their family. When you call them, you'll get a call back fast. When you need a question answered, they'll take the time to help. This industry is so confusing and so ever-changing. They have a team that knows the best plans for you. They'll ask all the questions, they'll get all the answers, and as always, it won't cost you a penny to get their services. The best way to learn more? Visit their website, partdandme.com. That's partdandme.com, or call the team at Hickory Hill Insurance Agency. They're local, and they're willing to talk one-on-one. Remember, customer service still matters. 708-7398, 708-7398, or online, partdandme.com.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, time to give you the recruiting report heading into the national championship game. No better appetizer for a college football game than the recruiting report going into it. No better appetizer for your lunch than the appetizers at Seawell's this week for the daily luncheon buffet leading into the lunch that you will have. Now, I hope that the Seawell's are back from catering the inauguration lunch. Did you notice that was Seawell's catering the lunch today in the Rotunda? I think I saw.
As it should have been.
Thought I saw Cal and Gary and Robbie and the gang running around there. But seriously, folks, you don't have to cater the inauguration to be great caterers, and that is what Seawell's is. And they will treat you like you are being inaugurated. All you got to do is give them a call and line it up, 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com for the very best in the catering business. And, of course, the daily luncheon buffet rolls on beginning tomorrow.
We don't have a menu, but I hope that there's roast beef on the Friday.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
If you guys are listening over at Seawell's, we want roast beef.
Get it ready.
Yeah.
You can have whatever it is they have on the menu every day, Tuesday through Friday, for only $14. And, of course, they are serving from 11 till 2 at Seawells across from the State Fairgrounds on Rosewood Drive. Defensive end Cam Brooks of Thomasville, Georgia, today released the top 9 through Hayes Fawcett of On3. Clemson is among the 9, along with Cal, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida State, Michigan, Miami, Ohio State, and Auburn. Clemson was just in for a visit with him the other day. Clemson coach Dabo Swinney and offensive line coach Matt Luke today visited with offensive tackle Bear McWhorter of Cartersville, Georgia. Penn State transfer receiver Trey Wallace did not make a visit to South Carolina Sunday, as was expected, and he's going to sign with either Ole Miss or Texas A&M. In fact, he might have already chosen one. I'm not sure. This is per Pete Nakos of On3. It had been reported last week that Wallace would make a visit to USC as one of his transfer recruiting stops. South Carolina has an official visit set with quarterback Jared Curtis of Nashville for June 20th, according to Hayes Fawcett of On3. Curtis is a former Georgia commitment. They also has set officials to Oregon June the 6th and Georgia for June the 13th. Clemson offered safety Caden Gebhardt, 6'2", 195, Lewis Center, Ohio. He was at Clemson over the weekend. Clemson coaches met on Friday with linebacker Tyler Atkinson of Loganville, Georgia, and Matt Luke on Friday met with offensive tackle Tyler Merrill of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Former USC defensive end Elijah Davis is transferring to Troy. Former USC receiver Peyton Mankrum is transferring to East Carolina. Former USC defensive tackle Jamal Weiss is transferring to Marshall. On Friday, USC head coach Shane Beamer made an in-person visit with quarterback Brady Smigel, 6'4", 205, Newberry Park, California. He's been committed to Florida State, but he has not shut down his recruiting. Now listen to this. Chris, are you listening? Are you sitting down?
I am, and yes.
Smigel, in his career already, has thrown for 11,222 yards and 147 touchdowns.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, really. Head coaches from Florida State, UCLA, and Washington have also been in to see Smigel this week. And former Coastal Carolina running back Braden Bennett going to Virginia Tech. And
is he?
Yes, going to Virginia Tech. And USC handed out the following offers. Defensive back Emerson Lewis of Savannah, safety Inari White of Weldon, North Carolina. In the 27 class, safety Davion Jones of Charlotte, defensive end Marquise Evans of Birmingham, defensive tackle Nate Kamba of Charlotte, cornerback Marquise Bryant of Roseville, North Carolina. And Clemson also offered cornerback Blake Stewart of Atlanta. USC commitment linebacker Rodney Colton was offered by SMU and Florida State recently, and he was at Florida State over the weekend. He's been committed to the Gamecocks since last April. That'll do it for recruiting tonight here on Sports Talk. Check it out, of course, on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and on Facebook. Go to our Facebook page, which is Sports Talk Media Network on Facebook. That's where we're putting all our individual information, stuff we're reporting, since we do not have Twitter at this particular time.
I got a question for you real quick about the transfer portal, John. Now, the window opens back up tomorrow for 5 days for Ohio State and Notre Dame players, correct?
Correct.
Now, if academics matter at all, which I guess they don't anymore, but if they do, how are these kids getting into school 2 weeks after the semester has begun?
Well, I mean, every school
At
is
their new
different.
place.
Every school is different. I mean, like, I don't think South Carolina actually began classes until today, for example.
Or tomorrow, probably.
Yeah, today or tomorrow, yeah. So I think every school is different. You might be able to find, and then you've got like a 10 or 15-day grace period to get into classes and catch up. So I think it's still doable. Okay, let's go to Zach.
Now, First and 10 with Zach Willis on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Willis, for that resounding introduction. Just minutes before kick of the national championship game, we welcome in Coach Zach Willis to give us his final thoughts as Notre Dame and Ohio State set to battle for the national championship. Well, what kind of game are you expecting? Just generally speaking, what kind of game do you think we'll see tonight?
I think hopefully we'll see a very physical game, Phil. Much like the two games last week, the Texas-Ohio State game I thought was a classic. It didn't look like it score-wise at the end, but that was a great football game. And it's going to come down to I think Notre Dame's quarterback, again, is going to have to make some plays late to keep them in it, and they're going to have to be able to establish some sort of running game against that Ohio State defense. Notre Dame's got a very physical offensive line, but Ohio State's defense, especially their front, seems to be elite to me, and I think that's going to be the key. I'd give the side edge to the Buckeyes because they just seem to be on a roll.
What kind of strategies do you think we're going to have here both ways? I guess you don't – at this stage, you don't try to create a whole bunch of new stuff, trick plays or anything like that. Do you basically – you are what you are and you rely on your strengths at this stage?
I think what I always tried to do, we got, I think, as far as the national quarterfinals, so we never got this far. And then, of course, at Furman, we went all the way. You tried to do what you did, you put, we called it a little window dressing on it, and put a red dress on it, as one of my coaches used to say, and give them something else to look at while you're basically running the same base plays you've run all year long. Just run different personnel groups, different formations, and just give them some eye candy. When Clemson first started out, they did a great job on offense of trying to get the opposition not to read the line, but look into the backfield and be deceived by what they saw there. If you're going to do anything, I think that's how you do it if you want to be safe. Now, of course, these two teams have had so much practice time and have such a great advantage going into next year, provided they can keep their players. And that's something I wanted to mention, is these teams have the wherewithal to keep them off financially unless it's the NFL calling on them. I don't see a whole lot going on here other than maybe some plays they practiced all year but just have not put in. That was a hallmark in the Big Ten, especially during my Big Ten days with Mark D'Antonio. We won some huge games with trick plays that we practiced for sometimes 2 years and never had shown in a game. And we saved them to the right moment. That's why he's a Hall of Fame coach, is because he just like Coach Holtz, pulled them out at the right time and used them. And I think we may see a thing or two like that tonight, but it's going to come down to good old-fashioned football, and there ain't nothing wrong with that in my book.
No, absolutely. So you got a Notre Dame team that leans heavily on the run from its quarterback on through, and an Ohio State team that can do both. I mean, they can run it and they can throw it extremely well.
Yeah.
So if you're Notre Dame, and Al, as you know, Al Golden loves to bring the pressure on the quarterback, you think he does that and leaves his secondary guys one-on-one against those Ohio State receivers, thinking if he can put pressure on Howard, he might force some mistakes?
Well, I mean, I think there's ways to do it by bringing 5 or 6 instead of bringing the whole house, which would mean 7 at times, which you're really going to be exposed if you do that. You got to get home if you do. You've got to be able to alter. You got to be physical with the receivers, and we call it rerouting. But basically, you got to make contact with them. You can do that in college ball. You can't do it in the NFL anymore, which is crazy. It just shows you how good the defenses really are to keep games under 50 points. You can't touch them after 5 yards, or you're not supposed to, unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, yeah, I mean it's they are a tough football team. They went out and evaluated the people they brought in, and you said it last week, Phil, they are the best team money can buy for a reason, and they have explosive people. They've got powerful people. They've got a great defense and a quarterback that distributes the football with he's been very, very efficient, and that's all they need. Both of these teams, I want to say this too, remind me of the championship teams at Clemson and Florida State. With their spirituality, their closeness. They both have tremendous character, and I think you got to tip your hat that these teams, although they're more like professional teams now, they did a great job recruiting character on both ends. Both of these teams, and it shocked me at Ohio State, and I know how political that school is, but they back off the football program because football's king there. But they've done a phenomenal job piecing together a very high caliber, both schools, high caliber character-wise team. And this is going to be a war, I hope. I don't think we're going to see either team knuckle under. They've going to come too far for that.
Which one wins the line of scrimmage?
I'm going to be honest with you. The trainers could probably tell us. I like Notre Dame's physicality in the run game, but I like Ohio State in the pass game. I think it's that close. When you get to a point where you play this many games, everybody is beat up. And this could come down to somebody turning an ankle in the trenches. This is going to be won by a guard or tackle or center, or defensive end or tackle. It's not going to be, what people think. And many times, as Phil, it is. The Green Bay Packers had some of the great offensive linemen in their heyday. I'm talking about Vince Lombardi, as you well know. Their guards were what won their games. And it's the same way with this football team here. If Riley Leonard can impact the game for Notre Dame, they've got a better than average chance to win. But I just don't know if he can, because Ohio State is stacked, and they're not only stacked, but they've got extremely good depth. The only team that's close to them they're playing is Notre Dame. I would give the edge to Ohio State because they're so close, but I don't bet on anything, but I wouldn't bet on this one. I would pick Ohio State, but this is going to be watch the front if you're a real football fan. That'll tell you what's going to happen. I'd give the edge to Ohio State, but not by a lot.
Mm-hmm. 1st and 10 tonight with Zach Willis, just moments away from the national championship game. As a matter of fact, they've had the opening coin toss in Atlanta. Ohio State won the toss and deferred, so Notre Dame's offense and Riley Leonard will get out there first. And Zach, just from a fatigue, physical nature, you talked about this being a physical game in your mind tonight. This is game 16 for each one of these teams.
Yep.
And I remember years ago when Clemson won the national championship, went 15-0. We thought that was remarkable. How much wear and tear does it take on a collegiate person's body to play 16 college football games, and how big a benefit do you believe it is for these two teams, and is it why they're still standing that they had a lengthy time off since neither played in a conference championship game?
I think that's a huge part of it. Playing one less game, it definitely helped them. It didn't hurt them. They got the same amount of practice time because they could keep practicing and getting people rehabbed and helped, and they took advantage of it. Of course, Ohio State just looked like a house on fire. They destroyed Oregon, who's the only team that had beat them at that point in time, and early on, and of course later on they went down. But hey, I think the practice time alone is a huge advantage, and the rehab time between that is obviously a big deal. But they've done a great job. And if you look at this, we're going to have two either Big Ten or Big Ten area champions. These blue blood programs are making a huge move in this new NIL era because they can buy players like a pro, and they have the money. They don't have the location. They may not have the home tie athletes, but they got something that trumps home ties. And we're seeing the failure of SEC programs. Georgia can't even keep their All-American quarterback. We thought he was going pro. No, he goes to the University of Miami, which is nowhere near the program Georgia is, and he does it for money. And Ohio State and Notre Dame weren't having those problems. So money is a big deal. In this ball game tonight, I think, honestly, the Mafia probably paid millions to get the injury reports to set this line, to be honest, because it's no different in the NFL now, guys. I mean, this is just like the NFL. We don't know how bad they're hurt, who's doing what, but we'll figure it out probably by the end of the first quarter.
Zach, a quick question about the NFL, and then we can move on or back to the college game tonight quickly. I was asking Phil about this earlier, and I really believe John Harbaugh made a major mistake last night during the matchup with the Buffalo Bills and going for 2 in the third quarter. Just wanted to get your philosophy as a head coach. When would you go for 2? I'm of the philosophy that you don't go until you have to, and I thought he really made a poor decision going for 2 in the third quarter, down 21-19, especially the way the game played out. He could have kicked an extra point at the end to tie it. What was your philosophy as a head coach with regards to 2-point conversions?
I didn't go for it until I had to. I never took points off the board. And you watch their reaction when they didn't get it, how they it didn't stay long, but the media ignores this. You guys don't. But the change in momentum that you lose by failing on a 2-point conversion is noticeable. And when it's noticeable at the elite NFL level, of course it's going to be in college and high school. So I love 2-point conversions, but you go for too many, you've already shot your good. You shot all your bullets. You only got so many 2-point plays that are going to work. And I feel horrible for Mark Andrews because he fumbled a pass and then dropped one that would have tied it. And they were the better team, but they beat themselves. It wasn't. And I like Buffalo, but Buffalo didn't beat them. They beat themselves, and that makes you sicker than anything. And that's what happened to them. And that was a part of it. I hadn't even thought about it. That's a great point. Game management is suffering at the hands of analytics guys. Guys are relying on stuff, and that part of their brain is not being used. And John Harbaugh's a better coach than that. A wonderful human being. I know him. He's a great man, a godly man, and I hate like the Dickens they didn't win, but I bet he'd do that one over if he had a chance.
All right, my friend, enjoy the game. It's just getting underway. You hadn't missed much of anything, and so we will do it again tomorrow night to put a ribbon.
Bow on it.
Put a bow on it. Yeah, I think that's a better thing to do than just a ribbon. Put a bow on it.
I'm a Chevy man. Put a bow tie
Put
on
a bow tie on it, and we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up tomorrow night. Thank you, sir. Have a great night.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, there you go, Zach. Good stuff from him, giving you some insight on what's going to happen here. So we'll have Zach again tomorrow night to wrap up 1st and 10, and then we'll wrap it up with the coaches, the Chalk Talk, on Wednesday night. And then a lot of basketball, of course, beginning Wednesday night on through the rest of the week to pick up on as well. We'll be back after the break.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller Brown. Did you know it's possible to avoid probate court after you die, regardless of what you own? Why put your loved ones through a long, stressful public process when there are better options for your family? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
George Bryant here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and wow, Tsunami Robbie, there is now an amazing technology that you can use when you train receiving large game without having to endure pain. Please explain.
George, that is the magic combination. I have 3 simple words to define that entire concept. Stimulation, not annihilation. Regardless of your training goals, there is a level of stimulation that is optimal for your desired gains. Tsunami Bar's flexible bar technology meets these demands because the user determines the level of stimulation with the amount of speed and force they impart into the bar or training device.
Hey, this is Phil Kornblut. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait. Order today. All right, no score, but Notre Dame's got a little drive going on inside the Ohio State 30. First possession
they look sharp.
Of the game. Yep. Let's see. A couple of other quick notes. We'll get back to your phone calls to wrap things up tonight. The net rankings this week for state teams. After this past weekend, Clemson's at 31, USC's at 91, Wofford's at 127, Furman's at 129, Charleston's at 139, Winthrop's at 194, State's at 240, Presbyterian's at 266, Charleston Southern 271, Coastal 306, Upstate 343, and Citadel 359. Told you about the men's and women's rankings as it pertains to here in the state. And Daywilk Tavares, hope I'm saying that right, Daywilk Tavares from Charleston, the CAA Player of the Week for the second time this season. The Cougars continue to win. And against Northwestern and Campbell last week, those were wins, and he averaged over 23 points per game and shot over 55%. So they're playing some excellent ball so far this season. All right. Reminder, tomorrow night, Tuesday, we will have Zach back with us. Also, may have tomorrow night Coach Eric Bakich from Clemson as we start baseball practice this week. Coach Paul Maneri at USC will have a session with the media on Wednesday, so we'll have that for you Wednesday night. Maybe Bakich tomorrow night. We'll reach out to some of the other coaches as well. Also, we'll continue to catch up with some football coaches. So we got a lot of good things to come. And we got basketball galore on Wednesday. South Carolina home to Florida. Clemson home to Syracuse. When's your next game?
Wednesday as well at Georgia Southern. Actually leaving a little bit earlier tomorrow because of the forecast of snow down along the Grand Strand on into, I guess, southeastern Georgia as well. So might be interesting. We're supposed to come back Wednesday night after the game too. That may be changed. I'm not sure, but that's the plan as of right now.
Enjoy sleeping on the bus.
Yeah, no doubt.
We got Villanova leading Georgetown 63-55, and Rutgers leading Penn State 53-52. All right, couple of games there to point out, and let's see. I think that's.
Oh my gosh!
What's
your guys won by 40 today.
Who did?
I saw the final come across. Boston 125, Golden State 85.
Yeah. Well, again, the Celtics have been zinged here the last few days by the media asking what's wrong. They're 8-8. They're blowing games in the fourth quarter again. They have not been shooting the three ball well. Of course, they're a team that just simply relies on the three ball. How many threes did they hit today?
They were 20 of 48.
Ooh.
I'm going to go ahead and say if they do that the rest of the way, there'll be no more questions about what's wrong with the Celtics.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's how they are. I mean, they are truly hit or miss. When they're making their threes, they blow you out. When they're not making their threes, and you force them into a half court game like that, then they're beatable. And it's been proven. It's been proven time and again.
This? Here's a great stat about that. Only one player who attempted a three today for the Celtics did not make one. Xavier Tillman was 0 of 1. Everybody else who attempted a three at least made one.
Wow. All right, so as we leave you, Notre Dame is at the Ohio State 6, trying to score on their opening possession and set the tone for this one, perhaps. We'll talk about it tomorrow night. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. President Trump says he's pardoned about 1,500 defendants charged in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, and he's issuing 6 commutations. More on that story as it becomes available. Meanwhile, President Trump made